Marbs here, and today we're going to talk about the Duke, not John Wayne. We're going to talk about the Duke controller from Hyperkin. This is an authorized replica of the original Duke controller for the OG Xbox. So let's take a look and see what we see inside the Duke box. Now, we get some nice manual and some information. Now, the Duke is a wired controller. Very nice foam around the controller. It has the 2 triggers on the back, and it has the 6 buttons on the top. Just to make things a little easier, Hyperkin has added some bumpers on the top that were not in the original controller. The display screen here will light up with the original boot animation from the OG Xbox, so that's kind of an interesting thing. And it has the original D-pad and the start and select buttons Microsoft users are familiar with. This is a wired controller. It is a non-braided cable, but it's about 12 feet and it works just fine. Not a USB-C, but it is the same older type USB Type 2 mini cable, not a micro, just a mini. It sits in this nice box. The idea behind this controller was to bring it back for maybe nostalgia's sake, but also so that on new Xboxes, people could play the games with the Duke controller as intended from backwards compatibility. For nostalgia's sake is a pretty cool thing. What do I think about it? If you want to feel what it was like to use a Duke controller, this is a very accurate representation. Is it something that most of you will want to do every day? Probably not. Maybe for a game of Fusion Frenzy on backwards compatibility using the Duke? I don't know. But I do think it's an interesting add to anybody's Xbox collection. Why don't you tell me what you think about the Duke in the comments below, and tell me maybe what your favorite controller is. My name is Marbs. We'll see you in the next one. Bye now.